right. Welcome to The Wise Guys. It's a podcast where we challenge you to think differently. And that's going to be a biggie tonight. So we're going to repeat that a few times. Think differently and shatter your norms. Here we go, guys. Like that this week? We talked about that.
I've heard that
week.
before.
We needed that sound effect last week.
I know we needed it last week. So we're shattering. There it is. Shattering your norms to help expand your world view. That can be a little tough sometimes. But we're going to enjoy it. We're going to have fun tonight. Hi, I'm Mac, and I'm your host. And in this episode, we're going to...
I'm waving to you.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my guys are starting already on me here. Okay. All right. In this episode, we're going to analyze the mainly Western concept of religion. And that might sound a little bit funny, but we're going to talk to you and tell you why I said that. We're going to really try to have some fun and celebrate its positive effects because there's lots of things about religion that are good. I mean, who's not going to agree with that? And at the same time,
I know some people that might argue.
There might be. Okay, they have bad church experience, right? Here we go.
Right.
But it's not got all rainbows and unicorns either. And there's some things if we need to pull back the curtain a little bit, to some of the darker stuff, maybe we might call it. But at the end of the day, we'd like to maybe do this episode where we walk through and mull over how we might have more of a middle path, that if we apply some humility and some understanding, maybe some of those nuances about your religion or your faith or their religion might take a little bit of
You are speaking my language already. The middle way, the middle
way.
path. I'm all about that.
The middle way. I knew you'd love that, Rev.
Balance, harmony.
I got the Rev, man. There
It's good to be here, Mac.
It's good to see you,
and it's
bro.
good to see the coach on the other side of the table.
Coach
Hey,
is in the house, man. Coach is
Rev,
in the
Mac,
house.
hey, how you doing, guys?
Good, brother. Good, man. It's good to see you.
So this is fun. I like this today.
Yeah?
We're having a good time. Hey, let me say hello to all of you beautiful exotic cocktails out there. We appreciate you being here.
And you know who you are.
You know who you are.
You are.
It is you. Look in the mirror. That's what we're talking about.
That's right. You exotics. So yeah, we're not, maybe a little bit of the religion roller coaster. I really haven't figured exactly.
Ooh, this will be fun.
I haven't really landed the plane or the coaster. Anywhere
Those are the best
particular.
rides. We don't know the destination, but we know it's going to be good.
That's right. We're going to have a few ups and downs. We're going to get some. Your belly's going to get.
I hope we go upside down and backwards. That'd be fun.
Barrel rolls.
Well, you might. I want to be in front of everybody. Well, no, you probably don't want me in front of you in case I, have an accident.
Right. If we're going backwards, it's fine by me.
Oh, boy. I'm going to have to reel these guys in quickly here. All right, gang. So we always start with words to the wise, right? Okay, so I got my words to the wise this week. Here we go. It's all about how you handle Plan B.
Mm-hmm. Plan B.
What do you think about that?
Do you have a Plan B, Rev?
Well,
I've got a plan D, E, F also.
All the way to Z?
But what I guess what I would say to this one is if you consider plan A not working a failure, then you're not handling your plan B well.
Oh, there's a great
You've given up
perspective.
already.
There's a great perspective.
Sometimes plan B is better than plan A, and you didn't realize it till you failed.
I would say most of the time.
Yeah, it's true.
That's my experience.
Well, see,
least.
that's a great perspective, gang. So it takes plan A and it takes plan B, and it says they're all working together. Everything's
Right.
working together to the good.
Here's what I love about the concept of Plan B.
Yeah.
Right? It's about being adaptable, like being able
True.
to adapt, right? And problem solve. Like these are things I love in life. Like I've talked about these being adventures. I mean, I wish more people would look at it like that.
I love that. We talk about all kinds. Sometimes it takes thinking differently, right? Sometimes it takes approaching things differently, looking at things differently. Whatever, seeking some help that you weren't
And
getting
sometimes
before.
plan A not working forces you to think differently.
Yeah, it does.
So you're a different person because plan A didn't work. So you're more of yourself on plan B.
I think that's exactly part of the plan, and that and sometimes plans A's do work out, right? But I think the whole challenge of having to have a plan B can really enhance the whole experience, can it? Oh,
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
that.
Especially if Plan A is a failure, right? Instead of getting
Right.
stuck on it, you get to pivot. You get to adjust, move forward. You got an alternate plan. Life is good.
There it is. So have an A
Yeah.
And have a B, and maybe sometimes, like the Rev says, you might need a C, D, and E, and
All
F,
the
or
way
whatever,
down.
right?
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
But each iteration, might
all
just
good.
take you there closer. So there it is. It's all about how you handle Plan B, gang. All right, but we're on Plan A. At least we're starting with Plan A, and we might run some buddy trails.
Do we have a Plan B for tonight?
Plan B comes natural.
I think we hit Plan B, C, and D every single episode.
I think we're 5 minutes into our episode. We're already in Plan F.
Just the beauty. That's just the beauty of who we are. So here we are. Religion. We're talking about the roller coaster of religion. So maybe you ought to start here a little bit with, let's just kind of talk about religion. That word, what's the connotation of it? What do you think of when you hear the word? But a basic definition, we'll start with that it's a human's relationship with the holy, sacred, the absolute, the spiritual, or maybe the divine.
Or maybe just life itself.
Yeah.
It's my relationship with life.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that.
All of the above.
all of the above. Okay, it's when you say it's a relationship, and typically in there with religion, there is some sort of structure to that, whatever it means. All right, it doesn't, and everybody gets all, heebie-jeebie about that stuff. But if you're just out there willy-nilly all the time, then I don't think you can really practice and deepen, your faith or your spirituality or religion, whatever it might be, if you're just kind of out there floating around.
One of the things I love about this podcast is that we're always kind of saying, suspend your previous thought for a moment. If you have a new thought, just step back. And when a word's spoken like religion, okay, there's a knee-jerk response for some people. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Just step back from it and go, let me open up my mind and my heart to a different way to look at it.
I think we're going to bring that.
That's a great way
bit
to,
of that tonight,
to go
right?
through life, I think, with anything.
Yeah, true.
Well, we had we were going around a little bit in the pre-show. Yeah, it was fun. Okay, we were thinking a little differently. It was fun. So
Nobody got hurt.
That's right. Yeah, physically or emotionally. Yeah, right. Okay.
We all signed a waiver.
Oh boy. Plan B. All right. We might need Plan C. So, all right, religion. There we go. There's a definition. And there's approximately 10,000 distinct religions worldwide.
That is a lot.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Wow.
All right. So, right there, I hope we're saying to you as you're listening to this, depending upon your faith or your religious background or whatever your teachings you've had, there's a lot of ways to look at this whole thing. Okay? I mean, the divine, the bigger than me, the whatever you want to put in there, the universe, God, whatever. There's lots of different ways that this gets looked at and this gets practiced. All right, so let's just realize that. Let's be okay with that. Let's just get comfortable with it, and then we can move on.
And which one's right?
Yeah.
Or are they all right?
Well, I got that in section.
All
third section.
10,000?
Yeah.
All 10,000 have a little piece of the truth, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, I landed the plane when we get to this third section, and I just so everybody else can know exactly what they need to do. I got it. Yeah, I got it.
The gospel according to Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've read this book.
Yeah. We're going to start a Sunday afternoon. We're going to be in such and such a place. Come for the offering plate. All right, here we go. So, approximately 10,000 distinct religions worldwide. Religion. Now, here's this interesting point. Think about this for a second, because what I'm going to probably tell you is you're going to go, what is he talking about? Religion, the word, the concept of it, is really a modern thing. It's not something that's been around forever. The Jewish people in the Older Testament, they wouldn't consider they had a religion. They just had a life. They had a life that incorporated their faith, their God, their way to practice, their way to go to school, the way to go to work. I mean, it was all one.
And it was all done religiously.
Yes.
It's my way of life. It's my path. It's how I live. And I live it religiously.
You live it religiously. I mean, it's a holism that says until we got into this whole idea of the age of reason where we started carving things up. Oh, that's the religion. This is the life. We put life over here and we put religion over here and we compartmentalized them and we separated them. And it probably created a whole lot of problems for us that we never even anticipated when that gets separation. Because the minute we got dualism that gets entered into the whole scenario, boy, that runs rabbit trails all over the place. It gets ubiquitous. It runs into everything. So understand that it's kind of a new concept that we're going to talk about, your religion or mine or their religion. But think about that for a second, and we've lost something in there. The minute we categorized it and labeled it, we lost something. Okay. Then religion, without a doubt, 10,000? We just talked about that. It's as diverse as the cultures that practice it.
Yeah,
right?
that's for real.
I mean,
Because
so-
there's different people involved.
Yeah,
First of all,
they have different histories. They have different ways to, they have different cultures. They have different ways of looking at each other and that stuff that they can't figure out, right? I mean, so, you got to say that's good. Right? Diversity.
Everybody's had a different experience, and therefore their seeking is different. And isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah.
Oh, unless we have to compartmentalize things, then there's the right way to live and the wrong way to live.
Well,
the right way to know the infinite and the wrong way to know the infinite. That's we put you in a box.
We're good at that, aren't we?
And we forget we belong to each other.
Oh, man, we are so good at that. All right. So, and I think when we talk about religion, the word faith, always comes in there somewhere, right? Especially us in the West, right? So, that word faith, is typically, it's a strong belief in a higher power and or the doctrines of a religion. And it's based upon spirituality versus proof or fact. So again, it's that thing that you say, I have faith that, and typically, will prove to me there's a God and I'll believe, that kind of thing. I mean, you can't do it, right?
Right.
Well, you got to put this in context. I have faith that the sun's going to come up tomorrow.
Different
I believe, I don't know how it all works. I have faith when I hit the switch that the light's going to come on. Take it out of the realm of religion and just put it, we all have faith in something. Even atheists and agnostics have faith in something good with the people that they know and the interactions they have and the way they live their life. So faith is not just necessarily a religious word.
True.
It's a way of life word.
So you asked in the beginning of the episode, what's the difference between religion and belief? Right? And to me, beliefs are just kind of individual more. They could be collective, but there's just ideas about like morality and purpose, of life. But religion is more organized. Same type of things, organized system of beliefs, maybe practices, rituals, things like that. Here's one thing that I know. I hope this becomes a meme. I've been waiting all day to say this. So here we go. While all religions include beliefs, not all beliefs constitute a religion.
Gee,
That'll preach.
There's some Stewish wisdom right there.
I love that. Stewish
There's the stew,
wisdom. Stewism? Can we?
What I think way back, Julie was talking about when we did the first podcast that she was wanting to say something like mac and stew or mac and cheese or something like that she was calling the two of us, right? That was
what I love is what you just said comes from an open heart. This mac stew comes from an open heart and an open mind, not a compartmentalized. I can have a belief system and religiously live that belief system without it being organized by human mind to be in a box.
Yeah.
It has to be a organized religion.
Yeah.
And so is that a foreign concept for you to think that we can be humble and we can be gracious and we can be okay with that? Or all of a sudden, are we bumping up against something here that you believe that's part of your practice, maybe that you have to push back on a little bit? Maybe it's there. I don't know. I'm just saying, recognize it, but maybe as Rev was saying, put that preconceived notion to the side a little bit and just say, well, wherever they're coming from, there's goodness. Right? Wherever.
It's the willingness to suspend any belief that I have a corner on the market of truth.
Yeah.
I have a corner on the market of belief or of faith or of God. That just puts God in that little box.
Right.
And so it means you have to suspend a little bit of what you've maybe believed, and that's a good thing. It's not a horrible thing.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So, and this might be a little bit of a difficult, especially if you've been living in the bubble. All right, you've been living in that comfortable little bubble. And again, I'm not saying there's wrong with the bubble, but I'm just saying there's so much better typically, if you go outside the
My
bubble.
bubbles have served me really, really well
that's
in the
okay.
past, and I eventually break out of the bubble and get a new one, a bigger one.
All right. Exactly. So, we're gonna spend a little time. Let's talk about some of the benefits, because there's certainly benefits to religious practices, and I use that word instead of saying religion. All right, because I think we can separate, and it's easier to not have a preconceived notion when we say religious practices as opposed to saying typical benefits of religion.
Very
Let's
different.
hold it a little lightly. Then we'll talk after we take a little bit of a break. We'll talk about some of the dark sides, some of the stuff that can get away from us, some of the stuff that can cause issues, and especially relational issues. That's really what we're going to focus on, because we can, as we practice religion.
Any good thing, when it's used unconsciously, can be dangerous.
So
But let's talk about the good stuff.
Yeah, let's do that.
So there's some of that, and then we'll wrap up at the very end with maybe some ways that you can do it a little better. We used to talk about that all the time, right? Some ways to just do a little bit better.
I can't help. I got to say this, Mac and Rev. There is power in the dark side. That's my best Darth Vader I can do.
Well, I don't have a lightsaber,
But there is that. I mean,
oh sure,
and it can be
Absolutely.
deceiving, but it could be inviting too to people.
Well, yeah, I think we'll highlight. Some
I'd rather
of those
spend
things.
time in the light.
Oh yeah.
Well, what are the benefits? We keep talking about the
Yeah, the
benefits.
benefits,
I want to
right.
hear them, man.
Benefits
There are
of
a lot of
religious
them.
practices. So first of all, I mean this isn't any there's no priority here. In other words, the first one isn't more important than the second one. Or the
We're
third
just reaching in and grabbing one,
That's
pulling
right.
it out.
We're just going to grab. So how about the fact that religious practices provide a sense of purpose?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, and hopefully that's a good sense of purpose. That's that's out there giving you confidence and that you are being a flow. We talked about that last week. The flow.
It brings meaning and purpose to life.
It does. Yeah, sure. I mean, again, lots of folks have had a bad church experience.
Many. Yeah.
And so, or whatever the religion you might have been practicing, a lot of people have had a bad experience with it. But again, you got to kind of stand a little bit above that and say, there is good there to be had. Let's just go out there and mine it a little bit.
Religion, good, bad, or otherwise, in my experience, taught me to get outside of myself and to feel connected to other people. It taught me that. Even if it was a bad experience I didn't agree with, I learned something sitting in those pews that took me out of my narrowness and put me into a oneness with the world.
Well, if you don't look upon the whole experience as something that benefits in the long run, and because you can't maybe see it initially, it's a great attitude to adopt if you're kind of looking at it and leaning in.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this a lot, but let's just highlight it. It builds community.
This is my favorite.
Right?
My favorite benefit.
And you can
social
connect.
bonding, like strong communities, like a sense of belonging. Like this is. I mean,
You
this
find
is-
your people.
You find your people.
Right.
Yeah.
You find your people.
Yeah.
We talk about that in MI5 at the end always, don't we?
Yeah, I love it.
And you do have a connection to tradition as well. You know that we're a culture of generations, right? And there are lots of good things that gets passed along. There are great traditions that if you sink into it, you understand them, you practice them, as opposed to just something rote that you guys just do because everybody does it all the time. They can be very beautiful.
Well, and on the other side of that, we're like the bridge. We're in the center place. We're looking into antiquity. We're taking wisdom from the ages, and then we're in the middle point, passing it on to the progeny, to the kids that need also that wisdom that benefits them. We get to
Absolutely.
be the middle point, and we get to decipher, that isn't something they need to hear. But we can take the good and pass it on.
Yeah. Oh, that's discernment. I think that as each generation comes and says, what are the new things that are coming now, and what are the things that we can say thank you, but
Right.
that we just don't need to bring forward. Okay, but community, without a doubt. Then there's this idea that as you gather in community and as you purpose to do good, religious practices can cultivate positive social change. That's a good one. Moral guidance. A lot of times we need the guardrails. All right. And so this can help us in that regard.
Well, it helped me growing up, just with this ethical behavior,
there you
and
go. Same thing,
even
yeah.
compassion. I mean, it just taught me,
Right.
this moral guidance, I guess you'd call it.
Well, yeah, and I think if you have a positive outlook on life and the world and all at all, then you're going to have that optimistic view that's going to promote generosity that you never would think about. How about just this has been proven that basically people that have a religious practice, okay, they live longer in general, all right, because they're more at peace. They're one with others better. There's less stress in their life. There's less anxiety. Now, again, don't get me wrong. All right. You're going to be saying out there, yeah, but. You
I was
have
about
no
to say that to
idea.
you.
Yeah, but. Okay. And there's always going to be those buts that you've had to live through, that you've had to experience, that, were horrible sometimes maybe, that really just was just, you don't want anything to do with anything organized religion anymore. Okay?
And some of those buts are justified. They're very real. And some of them are manufactured by the person who didn't want to get out of themselves.
Yeah.
What I learned in religion and sitting in a pew or sitting in a forest somewhere was it's not all about me. And religion has really served that purpose, at least for me and a lot of people I know. It's not all about me. There's something so much grander and more beautiful than just my narrow little field. That brought me comfort.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it also put my ego in check. And some people leave with the buts in church because they didn't want to put their ego in check. Let's be fair to the church that it's doing good work. And sometimes the bad rap they get is just somebody's inability to get out of their ego.
Good point. If I could pivot a little bit off of that, you had mentioned generosity, Mac, as well. And there's charitable work, humanitarian work, that religions engage in and do some good things around the world or in their communities, and it's beneficial not only to whomever you're working to help, but it also, if you do some of this yourself, it changes you forever, right? Yeah. I mean, you've done a lot of this, Matt, internationally, especially, so it really changes you.
Well, at the end of the day, here, we keep repeating stuff just in a different way because all this stuff works together. It's all got a common theme, that practicing a faith, a religion, in community can change your life. I mean, it can be a very beautiful thing. And however you want to choose to do it, okay? We're not trying to pigeonhole any particular way to make it happen, right? But more than zero. We like to talk about
more
that,
than zero. Yeah.
More than zero.
Hey, let me name one more. I know we got to move on, but just
I was going to give you five more. But.
One more quick one. So there's cultural and artistic inspiration that religions can provide too. I mean, religions are a major force in literature, music. I mean, we're musicians. The Rev and I and architecture or whatever, right? I mean, you have that aspect of it too.
Sure.
Let's not forget it.
Well, and you have to say, where does that creativity, because that's what you're talking about, creativity.
Creativity,
right? Where does that creativity come from? Depends on what you believe, all right? And but we would go to a place that said it's divine.
God.
It's God to you, through you, right? And these religious practices in community can help bring that out.
Right.
And that's the root. And then as Stu was talking about, all kinds of fruit just pops up all over the place because you're grounded in a way that if you weren't, the creativity would get stifled.
Right.
Well, because you're in an environment that's, this is arguably so, safe.
Yeah.
I'm safe to create. It's such a loving environment. And regardless, good, bad, or otherwise, of the dogma or the doctrine, they, for the most part, are safe places to express artistically.
Sure.
Right.
There's encouragement, support.
Yeah,
which makes it safe.
We understand that there's exceptions out there, and some people have had some bad experiences.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Yes, we are. All right.
No, the dark side.
We got Dark Vader over here, man. Oh, God. I think I got the Sith on my left-hand side.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
He knows his terminology.
So, all right. So, religious practices, a couple more of them, and then we're going to take a break.
Yep.
our behavior. We've been talking about this just and hadn't used that word. It gives us some behavioral guidelines, and with that, the guardrails, the things that it's just like with a teenager. You just don't let them go off on their own and do whatever they're going to do. They like that. They think they like that, but in reality, they need the guardrails. They need the oversight. They need the love that comes through all of that. And so, again, you're going to pick up on a very hopefully loving environment that you can have happiness through and a sense of well-being.
Well, and that happiness, the word worship is over cultures, all different religions and institutions. The word worship means to just recognize value. Mm-hmm. I recognize value in life. And so religion for me brought me a sense of worship, which was I recognized I had value. Yeah. You have value. Everybody has value. And I got that through a religious institution or two or three.
Right.
And so worship brings joy, a sense of belonging and community, that in connection that I think the world needs desperately today.
Yeah. Well, I think if we can just learn to fine tune it, again, like we're talking about, let's bring forward those things that can still be relevant, that can still benefit, that can still make it a little bit better, and then be open enough to be able to say, oh, but that one now, it's time for this. It's time for this now to look at it this way. Right. So it's an evolution as well. Whatever your practices are should be evolutionary as well, right?
Well, and I love that evolutionary. Your last bullet point here gives context to the unknowable aspects of life.
Right.
It makes us become friends with the mystery.
Yeah.
I don't have to know everything. I can be okay with not knowing.
And I'm at peace with that.
Yep.
It's awesome. So, all right. So we talked about what is typically religion, the good stuff. Right, the Yoda stuff, the Jedi stuff, right? Okay, the lightsabers, the light lightsabers. But then we're going to take a little break, and then again we'll talk about some of the downsides and wrap it all up. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back in just a minute. Thanks.